Welcome to SEO 101, episode 2. In this video, we're going to be focusing on Search Console and analytics, basically building the foundation of having a strong website on Google. So it's been a little while since we've done this. What I mean by analytics, I don't mean Google Analytics. I mean analyzing or giving yourself the ability to analyze your website. Without properly understanding how to analyze your SEO, you are pretty much pissing in the wind when it comes to SEO because you don't actually know what's good and what's bad. You're just kind of running around and asking questions on the internet. So it's really important to know how to know whether or not your website is actually doing well or not. The last time we talked about how to set up a website so that Google would love it, but now what I'm going to show you is how to set things up so you can see Google loving your website. If you're enjoying this video, please consider subscribing to Harbor. Harbor is a software that basically has my brain inside it that we're working on right now, and we're trying to make it the best possible AI SEO tool on the market. You guys know how much I care about making something meaningful. That is the whole point of Harbor. We are really, really trying to make something meaningful, and we'd love to have you along for the ride. Hopefully see you there. So the first thing I want to talk about is verifying and expectations. So verifying Search Console is very easy. I'm just going to show you a quick tutorial on how to do it. I'm not actually going to do any of the technical stuff, but basically you just need to press add a property here, and then you need to put your website. So let's say we're doing twomen.it. It's probably going to just take me to Twomen's Search Console though. And then I'm going to tell you right now that the easiest way to do this is HTML tag. You just copy this here, and then you put it into the head tags of your theme so that it goes on every single page. Presuming you're on WordPress or Shopify, that's all you need to do. And then you just need to hit verify, and then you're already verified for Search Console. Probably the more important thing to talk about is expectations. Now, this is something that really needs to be talked about more on the internet, which is how long would it take you to start selling if you're only using SEO, okay? Now, a lot of people are going to say to me 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever it might be. What I would say to people is going to realistically be 3 to 6 months before you start seeing consistent sales from SEO, if not even longer, sometimes 9 months. And I'm talking consistent sales, a year and a half. This is not easy. If you want quick and easy, SEO is not really for you unless you just want to churn and burn e-commerce websites where you make a brand, spam it, get a few sales, make another brand, spam it, make some more sales, whatever. That's not what we're looking at doing. We're looking at showing businesses how to grow their business online in a legitimate, safe environment. So in terms of expectations, you shouldn't really expect consistent sales for a year to a year and a half, generally speaking, unless you already have some kind of authority or whatever it might be. If you're starting from nothing, which if you're installing Search Console, I'm assuming you're starting from nothing, that is a place to start. Now, if you've got a different type of business, a different type of website, it might not take as long. It can take, a month or two to start seeing traffic on an affiliate website or on a website where you're, just flooding it with a lot of content to get a lot of clicks, to make money from ads, for example, as well. But news websites in general will take quite a bit of time before it becomes a money-generating asset. Now, when you first open Search Console, and once you've first verified it, you will see absolutely nothing for 3 weeks, okay? So again, SEO, it's a patience game. It's a game of chess with Google, basically, and you really, really need to be patient. So once you're on Search Console, the first thing that you should do after you've verified is you should submit your sitemap. 90% of the time, your sitemap will be at /sitemap.xml on your website. So if we go back onto Search Console and we look for sitemaps, which is here, what you do is you just paste your sitemap here and submit it, okay? Now, just in the interest of getting things indexed more quickly, you can see here, there are actually a load of sitemaps here. I was just experimenting with this, to be honest with you. I can't recommend it for or against this. This is just what I tried with 2Men to get things indexed a bit more quickly, and it seems to work. It seems to work fairly well. You can see this is the base sitemap here, which has 25,000 discoverable pages on it. Okay, 25,000 potential pages to get indexed. Once you've submitted your sitemap, okay, and bearing in mind that you've already created, let's say, 100 pages, 200 pages of content, whatever it might be, then you need to just step away from your computer for a few weeks and leave that project to kind of start to build the basis of an SEO campaign. You can do a few things in that time if you want. You can post to social media. If you can get a lot of people to click on the website in the early days from Google by searching your brand. We did this on 2Men. We sent emails to iSuit customers saying, come to 2Men. They searched for 2Men on Google, and that helped us build kind of a brand authority effectively. Because if people are searching for your brand, if a lot of people are searching for your brand and clicking on your homepage and buying things, then you are demonstrating to Google that you're a real, legitimate, and to be trusted entity, which is how you can kind of scale a bit more quickly rather than kind of the 1.5 year numbers that I was talking about before. You can use things like social media, parasite SEO, whatever it might be, to already start to bring people to your website. What I like to do is I like to just leave it for 2 to 3 weeks and just see what sticks, what doesn't stick. And then after that, this is when I start to blog. But before we get into that, what you need to look at when you come back from that 3-week break is how many pages are indexed compared to how many pages do you have, okay? So let's say you have 100 pages and only 2 pages are indexed, then you're going to have a bit of a problem. So one thing you can do to kind of mitigate that is you can submit your homepage to be indexed, okay? Now, I wouldn't recommend doing this for all of your pages, but just your homepage at the very top, before you go on this 2 to 3 week break, one of the things you can do is you can submit this for manual indexing. So obviously this page is indexed, so it's not going to show me anything. Let me just see what happens if I make up a page, if that's just going to, okay, perfect. This is what you'll see when you submit your homepage. You want to click on test live URL. This isn't going to work, so it's not a real URL. I'm guessing it's not going to work. And then it should be green instead of red. Yours will be green. And then you just press request indexing right here, okay? Before you go on your break, okay? So you set up your website with 100 pages, 150 pages, 200 pages of pillar content, okay? Pillar pages and sub-pillar pages. And then you leave it, and then you submit your homepage, and you put everything in the header at the top as well, is another really, really important step to this, okay? You put everything in your header, you get your homepage indexed, and the theory is, because of the way crawlers work, once your homepage gets indexed, and if you have everything in your header, everything else will slowly start to get indexed. So you should see, when you come back from that first break, you should see some pages being indexed, and you should see some impressions in the first 2 weeks. If you're not, there's a problem, okay? And there are ways to rectify those problems. But just make sure that from that point onwards, you are consistently adding new, fresh content to the website, whether that's blogs, pages, I don't know, anything. Just slowly, with a slow velocity, add things to your website. Now, one thing that I like to say to everyone is never post too much content. Focus on sustainable amounts of high quality content. And if you want help with making high quality content, then check out harborseo.ai, where we've been working on some huge improvements to our tool, which is coming very, very soon. 1.2, version 1.2. It's going to make some of the best quality content that you can get with an AI generator. But what's even kind of more important than that is that when you post a blog or a page, that Google is picking it up and putting it on their index automatically without you doing anything. If you are having to submit pages for indexing, it normally means that Google has some kind of problem with your website. But with that being said, that's kind of the fundamentals of Search Console and verifying. let's talk in a bit more detail about how to actually use these tabs on the side. So we'll start with performance right here and search results. This is kind of the most important page that you will have, that you will look at. But one thing that I really, really want to make clear is average click-through rate and average position are literally useless metrics unless you are looking at one individual page or one individual query. Your average position across every single keyword is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. That number does not matter. 13.7, it doesn't mean anything because you're looking at every single keyword on your website. Okay, it just doesn't make sense. Same with average click-through rate. If your average click-through rate was 20% and it goes down to 1%, all that means is that you're getting more impressions and relatively less clicks, but not actually less clicks, okay? So again, it's just a useless metric to look at. The only time that I ever use these metrics is when I'm looking at a specific query in a specific country. So if I want to know where Kit-On is ranking, so let's click on Kit-On. If I want to know in America where Kit-On is ranking, which is a perfectly valid question for this business, specifically for Two Men, this is when average position becomes useful, okay? Because I can see on this page for that query, we are ranked 11.7 in the United States. And if I now put this on most recent date, you'll see that we're 8.3. So now I can say to myself, there has been an improvement for this keyword on that day of 3 positions, okay? That is when this is useful. It is not useful to look at site-wide. Trust me, it's actually completely useless to look at. Apart from that, this is a really, really good way just to see kind of what's happening with your business. Now, we do see the ups and downs that you just kind of get used to it in SEO. Your site will go up and it'll go down, up, and then down, up, and then down, and then suddenly it'll go really far up, or it'll go really far down. And that's kind of the life cycle of SEO. It's actually quite frustrating at times, to be honest with you. It's quite depressing, to be honest. And yeah, basically our entire lives are ruled by algorithms now, so that's fun too. Now, the Discover tab, I don't really want to go into too much detail about it because I personally haven't managed to solve the mystery of how to get featured on Discover. What I will say is keep an eye on it because sometimes you can get a huge influx of clicks and you might not know where they're from. So a good place to look for, random clicks would be the Discovery tab. Now let's talk about indexing and pages. Pages is the bread and butter of SEO, okay? If you think about it, every page is an opportunity that you have to rank on Google, okay? Before you start writing comments to me saying that I'm full of shit and I don't know what I'm talking about, you need to have at least 200 index pages on Google. If not, then your website, in Google's eyes, unless you're some magic one-page calculator app that gets 50 million clicks a day, your website is just nothing to Google, okay? Think about it from Google's perspective. Why would you give precedence to a website that has 10 pages to a website that has 2 million pages if that website with 2 million pages is being used every day, it's being searched for every day? It's obvious that you're going to give precedence to the 2 million page website, okay? So pages are opportunities to rank, okay? And to start to even have any kind of online footprint, you need at least 200 index pages on Google. Now, one thing as well I want to talk about is the infamous not indexed section, which I get comments about this all the time because people don't understand how this works. Now, if like I showed you before, if I click on Sitemaps, okay, and go across to the main sitemap, you'll see total discovered pages. And I can tell you how many pages there are in the two-man sitemap. There are 43,000-ish, okay, URLs in the sitemap. So why would I be bothered that there are 259,000 that are not indexed if there's only 43,000 pages, right? That's what I want to drill into people's minds. And the reason is because Shopify, Wix, WordPress, all of these CMSs, what they do is, WordPress to a lesser extent, to be fair, is they create all of these pages that are completely bloody useless to everyone, okay? So this is just a filtered page. It's nothing. It doesn't mean anything. So what they do is they say, instead of making this rank twice, they just make this page rank and not this page. This number here, okay, this 259,000 not indexed pages, okay, is not a worry to me, because according to logic, if there are 43,000 pages, potential pages on the website, and 37,000 are indexed, then only 6,000 not indexed pages, so, less than 10%, less than 10%, are actually important to me, because there are 37,000 that are indexed. So instead of looking at this number and saying, oh my God, where are all my pages? Why are none of them indexed? Look at this number and understand that this is the more important number, the amount of actual indexed pages. I just wanted to mention that quickly, because I get a lot of comments saying you have 259,000 de-indexed pages. Isn't that a huge problem for you, or whatever it might be? But it's actually not an issue whatsoever, okay? So a lot of these are just bullshit. These are 404s because products are 404 on Shopify. Redirect pages, none of these are actually important, okay? Now, the only one that might be seen as being important would be crawled, currently not indexed, or discovered, currently not indexed. Now, this can sometimes have real pages in, like, for example, you can see this is the French version of Brunello Cucinelli. There's no reason for us to not want this to be indexed. In fact, I would want this indexed. So it can happen. I'm not saying it can't happen. And you should keep an eye on this. So as well, you can see the French fall-winter page has also not been indexed. And the Japanese designer virgin wool suits has not been indexed. Why? That should be indexed. So there are some potential problems here. And you can see there's actually quite a lot of pages here. But you can see as well, a lot of them are just filters, and a lot of them are translated pages and whatever it might be. So again, not too worried about things like this, but again, something like this, I would really want this to be indexed. So sometimes when you take one of these and check whether it's indexed, it is actually indexed. So this is green. Okay, it's not. So there is, as you can see, a problem here, and you do need to keep an eye on this. So I'm not just saying completely ignore the not indexed section, but it's normally just the crawled, currently not indexed, or the discovered, currently not indexed, that actually matter. The others don't really matter at all, to be honest with you. Okay, we talked about sitemaps before. Just make sure that you get your sitemap in here and that it's green. Video pages, I don't bother with. Removals, I don't bother with either, so I'm not going to go into them in this particular video. Page experience. So under experience, there is some extremely important things here. This is one of the most important sections in Search Console. Well, actually, the one below it is anyway, Core Web Vitals. You cannot say that your SEO or your SEO team or your SEO agency or, whoever you're giving money to for SEO, you cannot say that they are failing if you don't have like 95% green URLs on mobile, okay? Google has repeatedly said that you need to be in the green in order for your SEO to be effective. So if you are not in the green here and you are complaining about your positioning, you need to fix this. The best way to fix Core Web Vitals is by building something using out of the box, okay? What do I mean by out of the box? I mean using Shopify's Dawn theme, for example, or using WordPress using 2023 or 2024, not using Elementor, not using this, not using that, none of those plugins, none of that crap, just literally as was intended. That is the best way to build something to make sure it's green. A lot of those things like Elementor and, what's the other one? Divi and all of these things, they're so bloated, in my opinion, although they are necessary for UI, UX sometimes, but they're so bloated that it's just not worth it. I would rather have green Core Web Vitals than a website that is the most beautiful website in the world. But I am an SEO, so that's kind of how I think. Just get rid of bloat. You don't need a load of bloat. But also, just please be aware that this is super important to Google. Google has said this time after time after time after time. You cannot be in the orange or the red here. If you're in the red, you cannot complain about SEO, okay? And let me just show you an example of this. If I go on iSuit, you can see that iSuit, compared to Two Men, has been kind of slowly dropping off from, highs of 1.2 thousand clicks, highs of 1,100 clicks, what is that? 1,158 clicks. We've just been slowly going down and down and down. That shouldn't be happening. The website is it's more powerful than Two Men. And Two Men, if we just go back on Two Men with the same filter of 16 months, you'll see kind of the complete opposite. Two Men has just been growing and growing and growing and growing. And my argument has always been, although it seems like a cop-out, but my argument has always been that the page experience on iSuit is simply not good enough. Now you can see here it's gone from red to orange. I mean, it doesn't make a difference. You need to be in the green for Google to consider your website fast enough to rank it as well as you want it to. Kind of the last few things that I want to talk about are URL submission, which is at the top. Should you use URL submission? So let's take the French Brunello Cucinelli page as an example from earlier. So let's put this in at the top here. And you can see this is not on Google. So theoretically speaking, in this case, it would actually be a good reason for me to submit. So I'm going to test this live URL here, and I'm going to submit it. Let me tell you when to submit and when not to submit. Generally, when you're in discovered, not indexed, or crawled, not indexed on pages, that is a good opportunity to say to Google, actually, this is an important page to me. Can you please index this? Okay, you're saying to Google, please index this. Now, I don't like to manually submit or do URL submission for new blog posts or new pages or whatever it might be. I really try and get things naturally indexed. If they're not indexed after 2 weeks, that is another reason to think about using the inspection tool. So once this is green like this and it says URL is available to Google, we can press request indexing here. And then honestly, sometimes, even by the end of us recording this video, this can now be indexed. I'll check at the end, but if we just go on Ahrefs, free keyword tool, this is just going to give us a slight, it's not going to be accurate, but let's just put France here, and let's just say Brunello Cucinelli. I mean, this could be a huge amount of potential traffic for us because Brunello Cucinelli, it might not be as competitive in France as it is in the United States, for example, and we might be able to suddenly start ranking for, Brunello Cucinelli, whatever it might be, okay? So that's kind of the idea behind this. That's why I'm submitting this. So let's just do a test. It's probably not going to be indexed, guys, but sometimes, it's on Google now, okay? So in 12 seconds, I could have just got up to 1,000 traffic more per month, theoretically speaking, simply by telling Google, this is an important page to me. So this makes me think, actually, this is something that you should do fairly frequently on your website through Search Console, is look on currently not indexed and find things that have high traffic potential and submit them for indexing. You saw that literally within 2 minutes that got indexed, okay? And there's loads of pages here that I would like to have indexed as well. So that's another little tip for you guys just for the end of this SEO 101. So you should submit your homepage and have all of your important links, like I mentioned before, in the top, and then relax, let the content do its thing, make good, high-quality content, which we'll talk about in the next SEO 101. Make sure everything is linked. Only if nothing is indexed is when you should start thinking about things like, you can start thinking about Rank Math instant indexing, or other third-party tools. Another thing you can consider as well, just before we go, is Bing. So Bing it's probably worth setting up Bing, to be honest with you, because it might also help you get indexed as well. Bing is pretty much the same as Search Console, so the lesson that I just gave you on Search Console also applies to Bing. Now, I think the most interesting thing about this video has been that I just, in front of you, got the Brunello Cucinelli French page indexed. This now, just from doing that one small tip, can really start to help you build a lot of traffic depending on the keyword. But you can see here that, in France, they are searching for Brunello Cucinelli. And previously, we had a very small chance of appearing in those search results. But now we have a much higher percentage chance because this page is indexed. That's going to be it for this SEO 101, guys. I hope that was helpful. And if you're watching all the way to the end, you're an absolute legend. And I'll see you soon with some more content. Peace out. If you found this video helpful today, I would really appreciate it if you checked out harborseo.ai. It's our main project right now. We've just hired 2 developers to help us work on it. We're going to try and make this truly amazing tool, and we'd love to see you there.